Happy weekend, everybody, if you're watching this on the day that it's released, and welcome back to another video. Today I wanted to follow up on my sort of seasonal watercolor palette from spring, which I filmed obviously a few months ago now. Somebody asked me the other day if I had a palette for summer, and I realized no, not really. And maybe one of the reasons for this is that I tend to find myself less creative in summer. I think because I'm so much more motivated to be outside and doing stuff and not inside and making stuff. And so this really got me thinking about what colours would I include in a summer palette. And so while I don't have like such a finalised set of colours like I did for spring, I have been playing around with some experimental mixes and I have some really nice ideas that I want to share with you today. So hopefully you can get some ideas for cool colour mixes that would be really nice and bright and summery, and we can learn something along the way together. So without further ado, let's get into it. So this is the page in my sketchbook that I've been using just this morning. Actually, you can see it's still a little bit wet, to mess around with some ideas for colour mixes. I struggle a little bit with summer colours because I'm not really like a hugely bright and saturated colour kind of person, but I have some ideas for which colours would be suitably thematic, and also some maybe alternative ways to mix some colours which you might consider essential. And I have an idea for another video on something more specific to do with that in the future, but today I'll already give some examples of what I mean about that. So this is just a sheet of Canson XL watercolour paper that I'm going to be experimenting on today. I have my mixing palette as always and my trusty Vinci Spin Synthetics #1 brush. So for people who maybe are new for this video, welcome to the channel. What I like to do here is really experiment with colour. You know, I'm not a professional painter, but I do have a strong interest, you could say, in colour, how they interact with each other, and how paints mix, basically. So that's going to be the focus of what I'm going to look into today. So I think that it's a good idea when you think of like a palette that you might use for a season to think of like some primary colours that you would use to form the basis for your mixes. And one of the colours that I've been really keen to use in a palette that I did not have when I made my spring palette is Turner's Yellow, PY216. So this is a pigment from my Ultimate Watercolour palette. If you didn't see that video, strongly recommend you go and check it out. But that's this colour here. So you can see it's this very warm yellow, and it has a lovely texture, and I'll paint it out for you right now. I've been really enjoying my Ultimate palette, which, you know, you might take as a given, but I wasn't, you know, 100% sure when I set it up whether there was going to be immediately changes I wanted to make. But when I look at these colours, I'm so inspired to paint. So this is the Turner's Yellow. You can see it's kind of a little bit of a milky appearance that it has. It's a little bit more on the opaque side, and when it dries it has quite a nice texture. And that's another video that I wanted to do, was about like texture, specifically in yellow colours, because I feel like there's a lot of other paints, like watercolour paints, where there are nice granulating colour options, but then for yellow it always seems kind of boring. I'm very uninspired by yellow options, so maybe I'll do a video sharing my favourite yellows. Let me know in the comments if you'd be interested in that. But this is a colour which I really think is so bright and sunny, and it just makes me think of sunflowers and the beach. And so I think that maybe a little untraditionally I would include it in a summer watercolour palette. When it comes to thinking of a red that would go for summer, I think immediately of like a warm orangey red, and that also works quite well because this colour will not mix nice oranges with a pink. I think it would be very muted. So I have this little pan of Pyrrole Scarlet here from Roman Szmal. So this Turner's Yellow, by the way, was a Schmincke colour. And this Pyrrole Scarlet, I don't use it very often, that's why it's in like a loose pan, because it's not really a permanent mainstay in any of my palettes, but it's this wonderful warm red, and it's also a little bit more opaque. So I think this is like something that I noticed about when I was thinking about what colors I liked for summer, was that I was leaning towards including more semi-transparent or semi-opaque colors. And when this washes out, you can see it's this wonderful sort of peachy rose color. Really, really nice. Let's pop that there. Got paint all over my hands this morning. That just means it's a good day if you've got paint all over your hands. So these two together, we'll do some mixes in a little bit, but I think that this is already the vibe that I'm feeling for summer. And then after this is another colour I was looking at was that thinking I never use it, was this manganese violet. So this is PV16. And it's a very granulating violet, which I bought and was like, oh, that's a nice paint. But then I've never used it. These Roman Schmal paints, by the way, they re-wet so wonderfully and they're so vibrant. I could not recommend them more, especially if you're just starting out like I was when I first got these. They are really so affordable and they provide great quality paint to play around with. Or to paint professional pieces with, you know, don't hold yourself back. But this is a really nice granulating violet colour, a warm violet colour that I think makes some really interesting mixes. And then obviously this palette is now missing a blue or a version of a blue. And I think that for a blue, I might consider including transparent turquoise, which is this paint here. You can see it's been well loved. It was one of my first ever Roman Schmal colours, and it's a mixture between phthalo blue and phthalo green. I've tried both of those. I tried including phthalo green a lot in my experimental mixes. You can see here, and I was trying it out. I wasn't really getting what I wanted, so decided maybe I'd hedge my bets a little bit between my two options, which were really phthalo green and phthalo turquoise, and just include, well, something that's a little bit on the green side, but still very much a blue. And this really does remind me of like tropical seas, feels very, very summery to me. And this is, I guess, the basis of like 4 colors. I was thinking really for this video, I wanted to focus on a minimal color palette, like how few colors can we use and still achieve like a summer vibe. So for my spring palette, I had 12 colors and I just wanted to cut it down, see what we could do with a little bit less. So I'm going to do some mixes with these colors and then we'll see what we're missing. So I'm also taking you on the journey with me today a little bit to walk you through the process of how I make a palette and also the decisions you have to make along the way and how to test things out. So let's have a look at the range of oranges we can mix. Let me just get a little puddle of this Pyrrole Scarlet. The disadvantage to having loose pans is that they do tend to like float around a lot. You can see that's absolutely stunning. My main problem with warm reds is that I tend to have an issue with how they wash out. Like I don't tend to like them in a wash. I like them in the mass tone, but then yeah, for some reason just less so when they're diluted. And you can see it's wonderful bright yellow, absolutely stunning. And so I think because this yellow is a little bit opaque, when we mix them together, we're going to get these sort of like slightly muted, creamy, peachy oranges. But I think that this could be really nice for summer. They remind me of like the sort of really ancient Japanese paintings, like with peonies and stuff. In fact, maybe we'll do a little experiment of that later. But they're the most beautiful creamy oranges. And I don't really associate summer with bright orange, you know, so much as bright reds and yellows maybe, but bright orange, I don't know. You have to let me know what colours feel like summer to you. But this is a beautiful sort of corally red that we've got going here. Absolutely amazing. And so I think this is a really nice range of mixtures. What if we just went super yellow with it and just the tiniest little bit of red in there? You can get this quite like, you know, I think that would be super opaque actually. That would be very interesting to paint with. Just while I've still got this paint on my palette, maybe we can just have a go with this sort of mixture already. Maybe we can try the thing, you know, when people do like little dabs of colour and then take just a really wet brush and then like drag it out. This paint is drying so quickly because of how hot it is. It's going to be 33 degrees today. Oh, wow. This is amazing the way it moves. The Turner's yellow really rushes out into the water, which is very nice. Yeah, it's going to be 33 degrees today, which is not... I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit. I'm sorry. I can't think in Fahrenheit. I'm trying to get better, but it's really hard, you know? I'm sure you can relate if you have the other issue, the other way around. But we don't have air conditioning, and it's also, on top of that, super humid here, so I'm filming this like first thing in the morning, so I hope the lighting's okay, because I can't like really have my blinds open in the afternoon, or my house will turn into an oven, which is less than ideal, but that's okay. I do like summer. Every year I like summer a little bit more, but these mixes, wow, this is stunning. I think this is going to be great. I'm going to let this dry and then put like a center in the middle of this flower. Be a fun little experiment for us. And in the meantime, I'll just clean this up. But you can see how these colours are separating on the palette. Maybe I'll give you a close-up. Yeah, I hope you can see how they're sort of like all mixed together. Really love those colours together. So anyway, I waxed lyrical about these creamy oranges enough. So maybe we can try also some green mixes. Because, I mean, we all need... there are so many leaves that I can see from my window right now. So we all need to mix our greens. Or you don't. You can just buy convenience greens. That's fine too. Got some I'll absolutely love on my palette. So I've just took some of this Turner's yellow again, and now I'm going to take a little bit more of this transparent turquoise. And we can have a look at how that mixes. This is a very, very strong colour, this transparent turquoise, so I have a hunch that we might be working backwards on this one. So where should I put these? Like down here? Ooh. Oh, that's nice. I think these might become some quite separating mixes, because unlike the Pyrrole Scarlet, the transparent turquoise is, as it says in the name, very transparent. And when you mix a transparent colour with a more opaque colour, the opaque pigment particles tend to be a little bit bigger and heavier, and they settle into the whatever texture you have in your paper. So they make some really interesting mixes. And these are some beautiful greens. Wow. I would never have predicted that we would have got these such interesting greens from this mixture, but I absolutely love these. And again, they're quite creamy, quite opaque, but I think that these are some very summery greens. You know, springtime is full of those sort of very vivid, glowing greens of like new leaves. And then in summer, everything's kind of fully grown already, and you're just enjoying leaves sort of at their peak. This is a really lovely lime green. Really, really nice. It's just take a tiny bit extra, try and find an in-between. Yeah, that's amazing. What a lovely collection of mixes. Oh, I've been procrastinating a little bit, as usual, filming my video for this week, and every time I'm proven that I just... so silly, because it really is the best part of my week so often. So what if we tried to do some sort of leaves here to go with our flowers? Just try and get something interesting going on. I'm not a professional floral painter, but I sort of get the gist, you could say. And even if you don't like the painting, you can enjoy watching these colours on my palette, because I sure am. Wow. Oh, that's so stunning. Okay. Let me know also what, you know, what greens you enjoy in the summer. Like, what does the summer look like for you? Because I know, well, I know, for example, people in the southern hemisphere right now is their winter, right? Like, so they're probably having a very different experience to me right now. But also people who live in the more arid climate, people who live in the desert. I watched a video from somebody, I can't remember who it was, the other day, who lives in the desert, and she went on like a bit of a walk around her neighborhood. And it was incredible, like the different flora that you have in the desert, like all the cacti and stuff. You probably have a very different impression of what summer colours look like to me. I live in Europe. In the west of Europe, we have a very temperate climate. But yeah, this is a really beautiful green mix. What if I just dropped a little bit of the yellow in? A little bit. Not sure if I like that, but thankfully, since it's watercolour, we're very flexible with how we mix colours and move them around on the paper. And you can just do some like little leaf buds. This brush is quite nice for leaf shapes. Really holds a point very nicely. Just put a little leaf in behind. You know what? I'm quite happy with that. I don't paint flowers very often, as I said, but those greens are very pleasing to me. And this is sort of like confirming to me that these colours are very summer. Very summer. And just take a little bit of this turner's yellow in a little bit more of an opaque form and just dab some in the centre here. And already, just these three colours, I'm already feeling like, you know, this is covering a lot of my bases. There. Just sort of like stippling some little dots of yellow for the centre of the flower. Love that. Wow. That's a new favourite mix right there, the Pyrrole Scarlet and the Turner's Yellow. Hope you like that too. Gonna clean this up after we have a quick look, compulsory close-up of how those colours have been separating, because oh my goodness, that's stunning. Now on to some other interesting mixtures. So I think I'm going to mix with this, with the transparent turquoise and the manganese violet. So let's get a little bit of this turquoise. And this violet is really, really granulating. So I think that we're not going to get like nice smooth mixtures with this. We're going to get some very interesting separating, granulating mixtures, which everybody loves. They're so beautiful. Well, I mean, okay, to generalize, maybe some people don't like them, but I do. And it's my channel, so. Feeling weird today. Heats must be getting to me. So when you mix this this is quite a warm violet, but when you mix it with the transparent turquoise, you can get it into a much cooler, more blue violet, all the way through to a warm blue, which I really find very interesting and also just stunning on the paper. So I'll try and give these ones a little bit more room to breathe because I think that they will separate. What if we just did this slightly more green version? So you can see this is a really nice blue. You know, this might even work as like a sky blue. I mean, well, probably not by the time it granulates. You know, the sky doesn't usually have like purple dots in it everywhere, but I don't know, maybe it does where you are. But it would certainly be interesting, I think, for the texture on like a fish or something. And I really love warm blues, so any mixture that makes a nice warm blue is a winner by me. I thought about including dioxazine violet because I think that this palette might be missing like a dark colour, but we'll see how it goes, I guess. So I'm trying to make it a bit more purple right now, but struggling a little bit because of the strength of the transparent turquoise. Let's just use a little bit more of this violet. There we go. Gets like immediately taken over by the turquoise, but maybe it will dry a little bit differently. You never know how watercolours are going to dry. Well, I guess sometimes you do if you've used them before, but like if you're trying a new mixture like we are today, you don't always know. But this is like such a nice collection. You can already see the granulation appearing here if my camera is focusing, which maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I'll give you a little close up. So you can see there how the purple particles are separating out of the blue sort of wash. I'll give you another close up when they're dry. I can already tell you that I'm going to have to be careful to drink enough today. I'm very prone to dehydration in the summer just because I tend to forget. And we don't get that much hot weather, so when we have it for just a few days of the year, it's easy to lose track of the healthy way to approach those things. And just because I haven't done this mixture yet today at all, I have no idea what to expect, but I'm going to mix the Pyrrole Scarlet with the transparent turquoise, and we're going to see what that gives us too. So let's just mix this. This might give us a lovely dark colour, because I was thinking to myself, you know, maybe we're lacking a dark colour. You know, maybe that was one thing that would be nice to add. But actually, this is giving me a lovely foresty green. Like if this mixture was stronger, it would be a really nice foresty green, almost like a perylene green. Wow, that could be a life hack, couldn't it? No perylene green, no problem. Just mix a little bit of Pyrrole Scarlet with your turquoise of some kind. And this is a nice brown as well, like a very maroony brown, but a little bit more opaque. Very happy with that mixture. This is why I made this channel and why I love sharing this stuff with you guys, because, you know, I don't know what I'm expecting, and I feel like it just really gives me so much joy and excitement to go through and discover all these colours with you. Wow. See, that's just like such a different vibe to these greens, you know, when you mix it with the red and you get this really, really dark foresty green. That's amazing. And what if we just mix like a little bit into the red just to neutralise it a tad? Is that interesting, like rusty red colour maybe? Maybe. Yeah. Oh, that is lovely. This would be like lovely for, again, they just feel very, very Japanese to me, like the traditional Japanese paintings. This really evokes that for some reason. Let me know if you also get that feeling, or you know why I feel like that. Because like if you wanted to paint like some eucalyptus, maybe, like this would almost be a good, like, this feels like a very Christmassy pairing. Let's just water it out and see where it takes us. This is always fun to do these just like exploration pages. It's a very sagey green. I love a sage green. That's a colour that might warrant a deep dive at some point. If you saw my previous deep dive on seafoam blue. Yeah. Wow. I love that. Sage green. Absolutely stunning. Could definitely use that. And somebody who's better at floral painting than me would be making amazing leaves right now, and I'm just playing around, you know. This is no pressure. I'm just showing you guys what you can do with these colours. And again, we only have 4 colours and we haven't even tried like all of the mixtures yet, so you can only imagine what's possible. Really love these mixes. And maybe I'll try the manganese violet with the Turner's yellow. I think that would be a really interesting mixture. It might give us some nice greys, but I'll clean off my palette first. Okay, so I've changed hopefully you can, we have a nice clear view of this top corner, which is where I'm going to be putting these next mixes. I also wanted to include the palette. Maybe we can find a way to do that. Give me a second. Oh no. So these mixes might be a little bit small on the screen for a little bit, but I'll give you a nice zoom in later, but we'll just enjoy the mixing on the palette in the meantime. But since manganese violet is a little bit of a weaker colour, I have a little bit more hope about being able to actually mix these without losing either of them so much. So we're getting this nice like sort of taupey beige colour. I'm also not sure because when you mix granulating colours with slightly more opaque colours, you tend to get less of a separation, I guess, because they mix a little bit more homogeneously, if I should say. But we'll see where this takes us. That's a very nice sort of mauve taupe colour. Just mix a little bit more of the yellow with that. Oh, careful, almost making a mess. Oh, you guys, I can't get my head off of what I'm going to have for dinner. I really want to order from this new fried chicken place. And even though it's really hot outside and fried chicken is not exactly hot weather food, I've been excited for it all week. Anyway, enough of that. This is a nice muted yellow. Nice, really muted yellow. It's quite interesting to try and mix with these, actually. They're making very creamy. Oh, this is like a nice sandy brown. This is like, I know people whose hair is this colour. That's really nice. And what about like a super purpley version? Just if we made a really nice strong mix with the manganese violet, slightly muted. Did I overdo it? Yep. Let's get some more. Colour mixing is not so easy, you know. I always felt like, I was like, oh, you know, how difficult can it be? You know, you just got to put the colours together. But then often it takes quite a lot of back and forth before you land at the version that you like. And this is really nice. Obviously not the most exciting mixture that we got out of all of these colours, but you know, it would certainly be useful, I think, to have this this sort of nice beigey colour as an option. And it certainly like provides a nice contrast to these colours which are so vivid by themselves. It's nice to have the option to have something a bit more muted. And like if we wash this out, it would probably be a really nice sort of vintage, like aged paper colour maybe. Unless it's going to be the manganese violet, it's going to granulate so much. But you never know, you just never know with granulating colours. But either way, that is absolutely amazing. And then finally, I guess we'll mix the manganese violet and the pyrrole scarlet. I'll just do like a couple of mixes in this little corner here. I don't think this is like a mixture I wanted to focus on particularly, but you know, I've been proven wrong in the past. There's always going to be more pieces of paper if I do want to go into it a little bit more, you know. You know, that's another thing, you know, don't let having a project hold you back. Why not just mess around and see what mixes you can find and just enjoy the process. Ooh. See, that's more of a like a muted warm red. At least in the mass tone. Oh, this really does make me want to paint flowers. I know they're not the traditional like opera rose and whatever that you would use, like magenta that you would use to paint flowers, but I was never really that drawn to those colours anyway. So this is much more my jam. And just make a very, very purpley version. Yeah. Oh, that's lovely. These would all be such lovely mixes for flowers. So maybe it's not a landscape palette, you know? But I'm not a realistic artist, and nor am I a landscape artist. So yeah, if you want ideas for landscape palettes, then maybe this channel is not the ideal place for you. But I absolutely love these colours. I think that every single pair of these colours mixes in such a beautiful way, and we've managed to achieve some really, really super interesting colours. And I am so amazed with this, and I'm really grateful to all you guys for watching and giving me an excuse to do this. I'm going to let these dry and label them up, and then we'll come back and do a close-up of all the nice granulation in some of them and talk about some of my favourites. Okay, so I think all the paints are dry, so now I'll give you a close-up. So I labelled them in the middle: Turner's Yellow, Pyrrole Scarlet, Manganese Violet, and Transparent Turquoise. I accidentally spilled a little bit of yellow on the transparent turquoise, so that's what that is. You can see that the Manganese Violet is the most granulating of these colours. And then I also labelled the mixes. But you can see this lovely separation between the yellow and the purple, though not so dramatically. Gives us these lovely beige colours, and then these lovely warm blues with the transparent turquoise. And it's worth noting that, so this mix here, for example, doesn't seem so granulating, separating, but the granulation of watercolours depends heavily on the amount of water and the paper that you use. So for example, in my testing, this is just in a really cheap watercolour paper, but you can see the granulation there of the violet coming through from the transparent turquoise. So take that with a grain of salt. Your mileage may vary on the granulation if you try this yourself. But I really love these mixes, and then these wonderful muted greens that we got with the transparent turquoise and the Pyrrole Scarlet. That's like possibly my discovery of the day, to be honest. This range of greens, we've got nice muted greens and we've got nice bright greens with the yellow and the turquoise. Really love this sort of separation that we see here. We have these sort of like more intense yellow parts in amongst the green. And this worked out, I mean, this paper is obviously extremely cheap and cheerful, so you get these sort of like hard lines and stuff, but I actually quite like the graphic nature of how this little floral doodle turned out. I think it's quite fun to be able to see the separation in the mixes in these leaves as well. It would be nice if these lines weren't there, but that would be fixed if you were using cotton paper. These little mixes here between the Manganese Violet and the Pyrrole Scarlet, really nice, warm violet, magenta kind of colours, but a little bit muted because of how warm the Pyrrole Scarlet is. And then these orange mixes with the Turner's Yellow and the Pyrrole Scarlet. They don't separate quite as much as with the transparent turquoise, I assume because the Pyrrole Scarlet is also a little bit semi-transparent, a little bit more on the opaque side. But yeah, I mean, just look at these lovely sage green greys that we got with the Pyrrole Scarlet and the transparent turquoise. I love this. I love this cauliflowering. A lot of people would avoid this, but this is just like the perils of using phthalo colours. Just absolutely amazing. So thank you so much for coming on this adventure with me today. Let me know your favourite mixes, whether you also think about colour in a different way with the seasons, and I hope you're all excited for all of the fun colour related videos I have coming up. Please feel free to leave your most pressing questions about colour theory or things that you'd like to see from me in the comments below. And don't forget to hit subscribe if you enjoyed this video, because I have so many more planned and I'm so excited to take you on this journey with me on this channel. So yeah, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next weekend. Bye for now.